We begin with the sexual misconduct crisis facing the Canadian military. The woman at the heart of an investigation involving Admiral Art McDonald is speaking out about a letter he sent to top officers. In it, McDonald makes the claim he's being cleared and should get his job back. He was under investigation for allegedly assaulting Navy Lieutenant Heather McDonald during an alcohol-fueled party on HMCS Montreal while it was docked in Greenland on an international exercise in 2010. Admiral Art McDonald was the task force commander at the time. Our Mercedes Stephenson sat down with Navy Lieutenant Heather McDonald, who came forward with the allegation and has this exclusive report.
It felt like a very public attack on my integrity. And I was disappointed, to say the least.
Navy Lieutenant Heather McDonald says she was shocked to see a letter from Canada's top admiral sent to military brass publicly denying any sexual misconduct and claiming military police had exonerated him after an investigation into whether he sexually assaulted her on a Canadian warship.
I was debriefed by CFNIS, and at no point did they say that my statement was unsubstantiated completely or that he had been exonerated.
Heather McDonald says she knows there are witnesses who spoke to military police and corroborated her allegation against the Admiral.
There were several witnesses who did corroborate my story. At least one was the duty officer, so he was sober and he did corroborate my story.
An important fact on a night when many allegedly said they were too drunk to remember.
One or two collaborations were not quite enough to compare to the many. I don't remember. It was 10 years ago. I'd been drinking. I didn't see it clearly.
Global News spoke to an eyewitness who was on board the ship that night, a naval officer who says he clearly remembers what happened and that Heather McDonald is telling the truth. That officer told Global News he gave a statement to military police corroborating the allegations. Admiral McDonald is alleged to have shoved the face of the ship's captain into Heather McDonald's partially exposed breasts after she lost a button off her shirt. Military police said the investigation did not produce evidence to support the laying of charges.
Did not surprise me in the least that they are unable to charge or prosecute the most senior officer in the Canadian Armed Forces.
Despite that, she says the story was well known and there are others who were aware of what happened.
I know of at least one person who had been using it as a story to illustrate the generational gap of what is ethical and moral.
While McDonald feels military police conducted a professional investigation, she thinks had the case gone to civilian prosecutors, it would have been a different story.
I certainly think that the difference between the military prosecutors and civilian prosecutors would have changed the outcome of the case, yes.
And now she's left to carry on with her career in the military, as the Admiral fights to once again be Canada's top commander.
For me, it was very jarring for me, and for him, it was a footnote, you know, like it is very possible that he doesn't clearly remember that night.
But McDonald has not heard from the Admiral, nor has he apologized.
I would like Admiral McDonald to look into what reconciliation means, and maybe if after going through that process he felt the need to apologize, I would welcome it.
Heather McDonald is also calling on Parliament and politicians to take action on the recommendations for change in the Canadian Forces instead of waiting for yet more reports. Mercedes Stephenson, Global News, Victoria.
It has been a tough week for the Canadian Armed Forces. More top military officers have been put on leave while they're being investigated for alleged sexual misconduct. It comes a week after Prime Minister Trudeau said the military just doesn't get it when it comes to misconduct. And as Trudeau finalizes who will be in his new cabinet, there are calls for the Defence Minister to be shuffled out of his high-profile portfolio. Mike Le Couteur reports.
Major General Stephen Joseph Russell Whalen.
Months after Lieutenant General Stephen Whalen was installed as the head of Military Personnel Command, he's been placed on leave amid an allegation of sexual misconduct. It comes just days after it was revealed another high-ranking officer, Lieutenant General Trevor Cadieux, is also being investigated for alleged sexual misconduct.
So for us that have been in the military for years, it doesn't surprise us.
Now, that lack of shock from survivors groups also comes with an understanding that there are likely more accusations to come.
And now people have that faith in the system that when they do come forward, they're not going to be railroaded or put into a box that says, oh, this person's a troublemaker, and they make stuff up.
Whelan remained in his role for months, but according to the Canadian Armed Forces, Acting Chief of the Defence Staff General Wayne Eyre was notified of the investigation on June 2nd, adding Whelan was not made aware of it due to possible impacts on the investigation. And the Minister of National Defence was informed the same day.
We have listened, and we are taking action.
Defence Minister Harjit Sajjan may have this file on his desk now, but that could change October 26th when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau names his new cabinet. A June report from former Supreme Court Justice Maurice Fish found sexual misconduct in the military is as rampant now as it was in 2015, the year Sajjan was named minister.
His laissez-faire leadership style has led to the escalation of those problems, and just waiting for a review is not what we need right now.
Survivors advocates hope whoever is named minister will continue to push for a shift within the military.
There's lots of great people left that are in key leadership positions that we're engaged with, and we're looking very positive about culture change.
Culture change they hope will lead to a systemic change within the forces. Mike Le Couteur, Global News, Ottawa.